When me and Ed get together, we're gonna get on a skiff and try to get really shallow and try to sight fish some of these redfish on the flats.
Ed, what is it about sight fishing that drags you to it?
The challenge. Oh, golly, man, come on. Seeing everything happen and trying to fool that fish into eating the bait.
There he is. Nice.
The system of creeks that flow throughout the salt marshes are like a maze of waterways for bait and for game fish to use to travel in and out of these tidal pools. The salt marshes along our bay system offer a place to get away from the hustle and bustle. This is complete solitude.
Chasing the Sun is brought to you by DOA Fishing Lures, the unfair advantage. Dorado Boats, custom fishing boats. Dulce Vida Tequila. Fire disc cookers, built to haul, cooks it all. And by Grundens, we are fishing.
So we talk a lot about the migrations of fish right here along the beach. And that's just one of those things where depending on the water temperature, we have new fish coming really from all over the world that migrate right along the beach. When you look at our bay system here, especially like today we're talking about in West Bay, it appears to be a big pond. We don't have a lot of fish migrating in and out of there, but what we do have is a ton of life that lives there throughout its entire life cycle. If you look at West Bay on an aerial photo, it appears to be one big saltwater pond. But as you zoom in, you'll start to see little creeks that wind their way up into the woods. You'll see areas of dense grass that get flooded on high tides. And all those little details is what makes it real dynamic, just depending on the day's conditions and the water levels. So me and Ed cover a lot of different kinds of fishing throughout the year. We both run some charters where we're live baiting inshore species. We do some offshore fishing, but no matter what type of fishing we're doing throughout the year, when me and Ed get together, if we have a chance, we're gonna get on a skiff and try to get really shallow and try to sight fish some of these redfish on the flats. What's up, Ed?
How you doing, man?
Welcome to fall in Panama City
I'm
Beach.
excited. This is like my favorite time.
Well, this is shallow water redfishing time here. We'll probably see some tail-end fish. We got a big front just moved through, wind's blowing out of the north, and what that usually means is all the water in this bay is just disappearing. It'll really get shallow.
Ed, what is it about sight fishing that drags you to it?
The challenge, and it's very visual. I love seeing everything happen and trying to fool that fish into eating the bait. It's like combining hunting and fishing.
All right, let's roll. To go fishing as a cold front is moving through doesn't make a lot of sense to most people. But we're not most people. When I am fishing with Ed, we share the same passion for basically giving the fish an advantage.
It's hard when they're moving,
And he's sliding off the bank right there because he sees us.
And that way, when we do catch them, we know we have overcome every obstacle. So I've been fishing up here in West Bay since I was a kid. You know, it's one of those neat parts of old Florida, the big pines, you know, the salt marshes. It's just beautiful, undeveloped environment. And you couldn't ask for a prettier backdrop to get to fish. Well, one of the cool things about West Bay is a lot of that's wetlands. And due to current day, you know, regulations, those wetlands can't be developed. So the way West Bay looks right now, most likely looking into the future, my kids will get to grow up and fish that same area, and it'll still have that natural environment that I grew up fishing.
So I got a couple rigged up for us.
Sweet. The
Ideal
snake
for what
coil.
we're trying to do today. We see some fish, usually I can get them to eat this thing pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I can tell right there. I mean, even when you stop pulling it through the water, that tail's moving all over
Wants
the
to
place.
recoil. It's beautiful.
Well, I have never caught a redfish on the snake coil. I've never fished it before. That's probably why.
Yeah,
So
that probably has something to do with it.
let's see if I can catch my first redfish on the snake coil.
Let's hit it.
When I am fishing with Ed, we share the same passion for basically giving the fish an advantage. These are not sight fishing conditions. Most sane anglers don't try to handicap themselves.
It's hard, when they're moving, you
Yeah.
know, like,
And you know he's sliding off the bank right there because he sees us.
exactly. So he's already,
Yeah, he's
a
already
little bit.
kind of onto us.
Yeah.
We are handicapping ourselves on purpose. And that way, when we do catch them, we know we have overcome every obstacle.
Golly, man, come on. Yeah, the difficulty level today is, it's up there.
Every bite you get, it's gonna be something you worked for,
Heck yeah.
you earned.
So I think the only aspect of today that could make this more difficult is the inactive fish. You know, when these fish are laid up in the grass, not moving at all, it makes it even harder to see them. You know, if you see some tailing fish or we see some fish pushing around, it helps clue us off to where they're at. Well, these fish were huddled up this morning, and a lot of the times we wouldn't even see these fish till they started to push off the bank. So now what happens now that we pushed them off the bank?
Yeah, we try to wait for them to settle down, get another shot, but then that fish is already onto us,
Yeah,
so
he knows
super
where.
difficult.
All right, he sees it. He sees it.
No.
No! That's insane. That was beautiful.
You know how good it's gonna feel when one finally eats?
You know what's gonna happen. You're gonna have one thump it, and before he can close his mouth, you're gonna snatch it away
yeah.
from him as hard as you can.
The bite is gonna feel so good when it happens. My sight window was about 15 feet.
Oh yeah.
And now all of a sudden, something super challenging just became even more challenging because now you have a small window to see. With the overcast, the wind, we had glare all over the surface, so we have little pieces of window to see in to the water. Next thing you know, there's a fish 15 feet in front of you. He went the other direction. I got him. Nah, I got you. Come here. And it is hard to fool them when you're that close because they're onto you at that point. Right to it, come on. Well, that wasn't the reaction I was trying to get.
When we're trying to sight fish in the clouds, you have cut down your window of opportunity by at least 90%.
we're fishing on grass flats, and the redfish swimming across a grass flat under the cover of the clouds is near impossible to see. As much as we enjoy the challenge, I'm ready for the sun to come out and lend us a helping hand. The moment the sun breaks through and hits the surface of the water, our anticipation is building like crazy. Because we know this is it.
We are happy to see you.
You know, most of the time when we're trying to sneak up on fish, we use the trolling motor. They're really quiet. They allow both anglers on the boat to fish. So there's a lot of advantages to using the trolling motor. Once we get less than a foot of water, let's say 8 inches of water, the propeller on that trolling motor is literally too big to function without either hitting the bottom or breaking the surface. And in either of those cases, it's gonna make noise, which is gonna spook the fish. We use the push pole to sneak up on these fish in this crazy shallow water. When we're talking about pulling these skiffs into this marsh and trying to sneak up on these redfish undetected, we take everything into account. The direction the boat's facing, because if you're facing into a big chop, that water can splash on the side of the boat, you're busted. Fish know you're there, you're done. As we start to push that pole into the bottom, if you push it too hard and it gets a clump of mud on there, I can lift that pole out of the water to reset, to push again, and have a clump of mud fall in the water, you're busted. Fish know you're there. As I lift that push pole up, my wedding ring can tap that carbon fiber push pole and make just a little ting, and that noise right there, the fish are on to you. That's the level of technical fishing that we enjoy. And it's the challenge, man, that's what we're here for.
Talk about one extreme to the other, and emotionally we were like bottomed out, no viz, no fish love happening, and then sun comes out, starts to warm up, we're feeling better, and we're back on top.
The sun has broken through. It hasn't warmed up yet, but we can feel it. Even though cold air follows these fronts, the moment the sun breaks through and hits the surface of the water, our anticipation is building like crazy. Because we know this is it. It's about to get right.
There he is. Nice.
Right.
There's a better one.
Nah, that was awesome.
That was pretty legit right there.
As soon as Ed gets hooked up, that's our success.
There we go. Snake hole right in the corner of the mouth.
Sweet.
Pretty cool.
Nice. Let me see that guy.
Tell you what, normally I just dump them back in, but that's a trophy right now.
We are happy to see you. Thank you.
All right.
Woo! I knew it was gonna feel good. I was right.
That's probably the longest time you've gone between hook sets, isn't it? While red fishing.
It's been a minute. But those days make you appreciate it.
That's right. You know, sometimes we talk about like that fish. To me, that right there is that fish.
It is.
On a cold front, we caught him the way we wanted to catch him.
He thumped it hard too.
Well, I think we're onto something. Let's keep rolling.
All right.
Now it's my turn. I'm gonna give every one of those fish a chance to bite my lure. When I push my skiff into one of these creek mouths, I always assume there's gonna be fish there. Every thought that runs through my head and every motion that I make is about being stealthy. I don't want the boat to scrape the bottom, and that's why I approach from the middle of the channel. Now, as soon as I get into the creek mouth, the channel is deeper, so I can move the boat off to the side because the fish use the channel as a highway.
I got him.
All right.
That's that big one's still in there.
I'm looking for him. Good job. We caught that fish snoozing. That fish just woke up and saw that DOA cranking across in front of him. He made a beeline to it.
Yeah, there's no checking it out, sniffing it out, no. And when he saw that thing, he had to have it. All right, Ed.
Good
Hey,
job.
that might not be the biggest one I've ever caught, but that's probably one of the best.
That was well earned.
Tell you what, the water's chilly too. I can see why they're a little fussy
off.
about biting this morning.
Coming up, we learn the delicate process of how the beaches are kept on the beach.
You know, after a day like today, I will literally lay in bed at night and dream of that scenario right there.
Chasing the Sun's been brought to you by Native Eyewear, built for the backcountry. Pirates Cove Marina, you enjoy the Gulf, we'll take care of the rest. Humminbird, simply, clearly, better. Minn Kota. And by Visit Panama City Beach, real fun beach. Enjoying the beautiful white sand in Panama City Beach is about as easy as it gets. What's not so easy is to keep the Gulf from wanting to reclaim them. The erosion of beaches is a natural response to storms, wind, and other weather activity pulling sand off the beach and creating shallow sandbars. With normal wave action, the sand is slowly pushed back onto the beach. But when the erosion is too extensive and can't recover on its own, a process called beach renourishment is done to widen the beach and reduce possible storm damage to coastal structures. By reducing the energy of the waves across the surf zone, it protects the beachfront infrastructure. This is a delicate process, pumping sand from the bottom and back to the shore where it's sifted and poured back onto the shoreline. It's a lengthy, tedious process, but in the end, you can clearly see the difference is well worth the effort.
The cool part about sight fishing is I'm on the front and you're giving me a lot of shots, but it's, for me and you both, it's just as rewarding to be the guy on the back.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it is as much of a team effort as you can have in fishing.
Absolutely. Everybody has their role.
Yeah.
So without you back there helping me spot the fish and communicating where the fish are and me up there being able to cast and make the presentation, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's as rewarding for me to be on the front as the back, truly. Up there seeing them and letting go of control is not easy.
Well, and I would also say that it would probably be easier for you to give up that control here than it would be if we were on your home water.
Absolutely, yeah.
After a day like today, I will literally lay in bed at night and dream of that scenario right there.
I do the same thing.
For me, that's it. That is the perfect setup. So the only way to make it better is to keep doing it over and over again and doing it as many times as possible. We had to work through some conditions there at first, but man, when the sun came out and we got those perfect scenarios and perfect shots, you're gonna have to come back and do that again sometime.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm leaving.
Oh, there we go, even better. I'm not gonna have to twist his arm to get him on the bow for some of those redfish in shallow water.
No, I can't wait. That was the best.
I mean, it's just something we both love to do because it's technical, it's challenging, it's an emotional roller coaster. All those things that make us want to do it, you can find in this style of fishing.
Just another day in Panama City Beach.